colleagues at all involved in writing the questions, or were you given the opportunity to suggest questions that would be asked? And more generally, is surveying the troops something that perhaps should happen more often, either on general matters?
Yeah, I was not asked. I doubt very much that anybody had any. I don't have any evidence that anybody was asked in the Congress, but I surely was not asked. And on the survey question, I think it's a very good idea to get the attitude of the troops on things, providing it's clearly understood that it's just a question to help guide decision makers to the extent that it is relevant. It can be overdone. It's surely overdone with politicians. That surveys too often, in my judgment, guide people's decisions. And I worry about the implication that a survey somehow or other gives like the word veto power. It would be really, really unacceptable that the greater use of surveys might lead people in the military to believe it's a democracy, because the military is not a democracy. Now, you can argue for surveys in a sense on the civilian side, where we are a democracy, than you can in the military. But I think there's a legitimate use to surveys in both cases, providing there's no implication or impression created that the military is a democracy. But I want to, again, quickly add that surveys can be overdone, not just in the military, but on the civilian side as well.
Should they, just real quick, should the results of that survey be released, or will you call for them to be released?
I wouldn't call for them to be released at all. They'll probably leak, but they won't be leaked. They won't be leaked at my suggestion. And I have doubts. I want to satisfy my doubts about the content of the survey. I can't answer your question yes for two reasons. Number one, even if it were a good survey, and I don't know that it is, for the reasons I gave, I'm not sure it is a survey that is a fair survey until I read it and satisfy myself on the subjects that we just talked about. But in any event, it should not be released in my judgment. It was intended to be a private survey, and it ought to stay that way. I have no hopes that that'll be the case, but I always can dream.
Here comes the last question.